Morning today, we started the show at 8 a.m. We've been talking about the sugar stocks and how sugar stocks have been buzzing. The question now is that will there be a sweet pill for them for the rest of the year going forward? Part of that conversation is what I'm going to be having with Shree Renuka Sugars with the top management executive chairman, Mr. Atul Chaturvedi, now live with us right here on the show. Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us today to help us try and understand what's happening at the company and, of course, the sugar sector at large. Mr. Chaturvedi, now if you look at the global prices of sugar, it's going up. We understand that the MSP still has to be fixed for the new sugar season. Going into that, can you tell us a little bit about how pricing is moving in the country?
In fact, when you started the conversation, you said sugar stocks are buzzing. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying that it's taken a lot more time than what we expected for the sugar stocks to start buzzing. In fact, sugar prices, you said the MSP has not been raised, but the government has definitely raised the FRP, and the FRP increase for cane has been reasonably moderate. And as far as the MSP or selling price of sugar is concerned, sugar is in any case selling above the minimum selling price. So there is no issue on that front. And as far as exports are concerned, exports have been very, very robust. In fact, this year, India has exported close to about 11 million tons. And next year, too, we are looking at a number of anything between 8 to 9 million tons, because the sugar crop or the cane crop looks to be quite good, because rains have been absolutely spot on as far as the cane producing states like Karnataka or Maharashtra or UP is concerned. So there's no reason why next year also we will have probably much more diversion towards ethanol, and exports will continue to be robust. And the icing on the cake is that the rupee has weakened quite a lot, and that should give a boost to Indian values when we are exporting. So all these things, I think sweetness has finally come around in this sugar stocks, and there's no reason why it should not continue. Yep.
I can see that big smile on your face, Mr. Chaturvedi. Finally, the stock prices are going up. And from the commentary, very, very bullish commentary, Mr. Chaturvedi. And I'm going to take up one by one. You spoke about the fall in the rupee, which is always great news for exporters. Having said that, what we've also seen from the government was some curb on exports. But because of the glut in the market, they did increase that export ban and allowed more lifting of sugar. So does that mean for the new season and for the rest of the financial year and going forward in next year as well, you're expecting a revision on that export cap? One sees your smile and reads between the lines. It seems to be the assumption.
No, it's taken a long time for the smile to come on our faces. That's what is surprising. But let me tell you that there's no reason why India should not continue with its export program, because we are in a surplus situation. And one of the best ways to get rid of the surplus sugar is both ethanol and exports, because this ensures that the farmers get paid in time. And let's face it, cane probably gives the farmers one of the best returns compared to the competing crops. So cane production is going to keep growing, and something which used to be actually a bane is now a boon for the sector. And let's also remind ourselves that sugar is no longer a sugar sector. I would go to the extent of saying that it's a green energy sector. With our thrust on ethanol and bagasse for running our cogen plants, I think it's contributing to the circular economy, and it's a renewable fuel. And with the government of India's thrust on bringing down carbon emissions and being an import substitute, all these things I think are good times for the sugar sector, and there's no reason why it should not continue. As far as the policy for exports for next year is concerned, I'm sure government is seized of the issue, and we would have a reasonable policy in place which will ensure that the exports continue to be robust, because India is probably one of the countries in the world which is sitting on surplus sugar.
Just request you to stay on, sir, with us. There is an event where the finance minister is talking. Let's hear out what she's talking about.
There are some parts of the country which are fairly well developed. There are other parts which are not so developed, but for all of them, we are here to provide affordable energy. And at a time when we were looking at moving out of coal, and I remember in 2 of my budgets placing emphasis that we shall move out of thermal, we shall close some of the legacy thermal power producing whatever companies, and then get on to greater emphasis on a transitional energy, which is natural gas, and then equally ramp up our renewable investments and production. Now, this has received a big jolt, and therefore now we are also saying we need to fall back on coal for some more time, and it worries me about how these coal dependency again will have to be cut down, and we can get back to the platform of transitioning into less environmentally threatening source. So this jolt, which is not just for India, which is for everybody, but for India, it becomes even more onerous because of the size of our country and the different levels of development. So
that was the finance minister talking at an event about energy, how the movement has happened. The management at Shree Renuka is still with us. Sir, taking focus about the green energy that you were just talking about, can you just talk to us about how that would also bring stability to earnings? I mean, sugar is always considered to be cyclical. It never gets a PE multiple because it's difficult to predict cycles, predict earnings. How does that part of ethanol get at least stability to a significant amount of EBITDA that any company or any company would generate in the sugar pack?
No, let me first clear one misconception, that India now is a sugar surplus country. Whether we like it or not, the cyclicality of this sector is actually a thing of the past. 4, 5, 6 years back, yes, it was relevant, but no longer now, because the returns to the farmers are probably one of the best as far as the sugar sector is concerned. And with a lot of irrigations and all those things like drip irrigation and all these things happening, the dependence on water has also come down for the sugar sector. So we do not see the sugar again going into the cyclicality, which was a thing of in the past. So you have sugar in excess available. So the diversion to ethanol will definitely continue to be strong. And one of the biggest advantages as far as ethanol play is concerned is that sugar sector actually suffers by way of very high interest burden. In fact, you crush in 5, 6 months and then carry the sugar inventory for almost 12 to 14 months. No longer now. Now you're able to supply to the oil marketing companies during the crushing season. And the icing on the cake is that you are allowed to convert juice directly into ethanol. So that has come as a big boost. Coming on to the EBITDA, I think the EBITDA levels, as far as the sugar sector is concerned, those companies which are fairly well managed and have a play on the ethanol side as well, there's no reason why their EBITDA should continue to remain low. I'm sure it should continue to keep improving as we go forward. So all these things will probably result in the sugar sector getting re-rated and coming out of the so-called mess in which it was few years back. So this is, as I rightly said earlier, that these are sweet times for the sugar sector.
Chaturvedi, on that sweet note, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us about how the entire industry dynamics are stacking up at the moment for the sugar sector.